Temple football is finally coming after bye week. We finally will have a football game to preview, and it's our first 30-minute show. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, I'm doing okay. Definitely going to be a little bit of an adjustment, but nothing we haven't handled before.
We're used to that kind of stuff.
Exactly. The rundown, it looks a little different, but who doesn't like a good challenge?
So wait, what are we going to be talking about today on the show?
Well, it's funny that you ask, but women's lacrosse just started off their fall season, so there we go.
I will see you on the other side.
We're going to have a great show.
We have men's soccer, women's soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, and men's and women's basketball to talk about with those preseason polls.
OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello everyone and welcome to OwlSports Update. He's Ajay Patel, I'm Brielle, and Temple football is officially back after its bye week.
Back on the road, we've got team coverage from Philly to FLA. It's the 2 and 3 Owls versus the 4 and 1 UCF Knights in Orlando for a Thursday night match on national television. Both teams should be well rested. The Owls haven't played in 13 days, the Knights in 8 days. This game will see Temple face off against one of the top offenses in the conference. OwlSports Update's Meg Doyle begins our team coverage.
The Owls are on their longest road trip of the year so far. 1,000 miles to the south in Orlando to take on the Knights, a team Temple hasn't beat in 5 years.
The atmosphere is going to be hostile, but again, it's something that we're looking forward to see where we've grown within this last bye week. So we're excited to get going.
The Owls defense ranks first in the AAC as they travel to Central Florida to take on the Knights, whose offensive unit is ranked second in the conference.
I see length, I see speed, athleticism. That secondary is they don't let too many balls get behind them. They play with confidence. They're multiple. That defensive coordinator has done a great job of putting those players in position to make plays.
The Knights have scored 178 points this year and have gained more than 1,000 yards for both rushing and passing, bringing on a great challenge for the Temple defense.
Number one, we had to, learn how to finish the style of defense that we're exposing on the first 3 quarters of most ball games, which is an aggressive style of play. But we got to learn how to finish in the 4th quarter.
And that might be the only way the Owls can stop their drought on the road. Temple hasn't won away from the Link since September 2021. Yes, 13 months ago. Reporting for OwlSports Update, I'm Meg Doyle.
This is Temple's second straight road game, which follows that 3-game homestand in September.
Let's head down south to Orlando, where Inside the Nest host Emily Cochran is traveling with the Owls.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's a Week 6 matchup, and the Owls arrived at this hotel Wednesday night and are prepping for their longest road game of the season so far. Now, as for the weather, it could be an issue. There's a 60% chance of rain and possible thunderstorms, and the game day temps are looking to be in the mid to low 80s with some humidity. Temple will likely be performing in front of its largest crowd so far this season. UCF averages around 40,000 fans per game. Kickoff starts at 7 and you can watch on ESPN. Reporting from Orlando, Florida, I'm Emily Cochran. Guys, back to you in the studio.
Temple has lost its last 5 matchups against UCF. The last time the Owls won was on October 15th, 2016, where they narrowly defeated the Knights 26-25 on the road. Since then, a lot of L's.
Last season, Temple was defeated in an ugly loss, 49-7. Things looked a lot different a year ago. A different coach, of course, and DeJuan Mathis was the Owls' starting QB, and he threw for just 121 yards. Now moving on to our score predictions, I do not have high hopes for this game. The Knights are holding their opponents to an average of just over 14 points per game, and the Owls are scoring an average of 15 points per game. I do not see Temple defeating UCF on the road. My score prediction, 41-10.
I agree. Last year's game was not pretty. I think this year will be similar. Yes, Temple's defense looks a lot better, but this is the best offense Temple has played all year. UCF averages over 35 points a week. Quarterback John Rice Plum Lee is just as good as throwing the ball as he is running the ball. I think UCF may get off to a slower start than usual, but I see the final score being 41-6.
We predict the game, but they play a game. So let's take a look at what Temple must do to pull off the upset. We welcome in someone who is normally behind the scenes producing shows. Inside the Nest producer Liam Andell is at the studio set. Hey Liam.
Thanks, Brielle. While you guys may not have the most optimistic feelings towards Temple's upcoming matchup against UCF, I'm here to give you my tool to success for the Owls. Now, Temple has an uphill battle against UCF, a team that is outscoring their opponents by an average of 21 points per game. If Temple wants to find success, they need to establish the run game. The Owls have maintained a running back by committee approach all season, but are averaging just 2.7 yards per carry. Going against a stout defense in UCF will pose a challenge for true freshman quarterback E.J. Warner, but if the running backs can take some pressure off of Warner by extending drives, this will give Warner the ability to play loose and not have the weight of the offense on his shoulders. It's time for me to hang out my toolbox. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Liam Andell. Brielle and Ajay, back to you on desk.
Thanks, Liam. Former Temple football coach Matt Rhule is unemployed. He was fired on Monday. Rhule took over as the Carolina Panthers head coach in 2020 and was in his third season with the team. In his 2.5 years in Charlotte, Rhule compiled just an 11-27 record. Less than 3 years ago, he signed a 7-year, $62 million contract. This is the second former Temple coach to grab a pink slip in less than a month. If you remember, Jeff Collins was let go from Georgia Tech in late September.
When we come back, Temple Lacrosse had a busy weekend taking on Quinnipiac and Bucknell in a doubleheader day of off-season scrimmages. We will see you in a minute 30. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Starting off, we have game one of a doubleheader for the lacrosse team versus Quinnipiac at Temple Sports Complex. The Bobcats get off to an early lead after Emily Feeney buries the ball in the bottom left corner of the net. Then Quinnipiac comes right back with more, Gabby Beckett putting her body on the line. Then Temple answers, getting its chance on offense. Madison Moten takes matters into her own hands. Not scoring not one, but 2 goals right here. Your final is 10-8. The Owls come out on top.
Moving on to game number 2 versus Bucknell, the Owls were all gas, no breaks in this game. And here is senior midfielder Maeve Tobin scoring a goal. But now, junior midfielder Belle Masterpietro taking her defender one-on-one, and she shoots and she scores. But Tobin is not done for the day just yet. Here she is giving her team another goal on the day. Owls junior forward Mackenzie Roth also put points on the board for her team. Your final score from Howard Field is Temple 14, Bucknell 3. These 2 games don't count towards the regular season. Instead, the fall is full of scrimmages as they prepare to build up some chemistry as the spring season quickly approaches. There is one player that could surprise some people in her first year on the team. OwlSports Update's Ricky Turner is live outside the Liacouras Center to tell us more.
The lacrosse season doesn't officially start until February, but there's a lot of optimism for a team that is coming off an AAC semifinals berth. The excitement isn't all about the players returning, though. It is about a freshman coming into the program with a really impressive resume.
Kaitlyn Stankavage's passion for lacrosse has never been in question, and it's followed her from elementary school all the way to Temple. Even before walking onto Howard Field this past weekend, Kaitlyn's resume was quite long. A two-time high school All-American with more than 100 career goals in her final 2 seasons alone.
Probably when I started playing club lacrosse, which is like 6th grade, I just got more into it, and so they always started talking about playing in college.
The awards and accolades that she received were just affirmation that she was on the right track.
It just validates that all my hard work to show that, like where I've come.
Stankavage comes to a Temple team that was nationally ranked last season. In high school, her Garnet Valley team lost in the state semifinals to Conestoga. Her current teammate, number 26, Kat Belinsky, played for Conestoga. The two rivals now have a common goal.
Yeah, it kind of just made it like more competitive, because like before games everyone would ask like if we know anyone on the team we're playing, and I would always say her.
Kaitlyn has been one of the most decorated recruits that Temple has had in its history, and this could signal a turning point for getting big-time recruits in their respective sports.
She can bring some of her abilities from her high school and kind of make some friends and kind of show that like this is a great place to come and play and kind of expand your lacrosse game.
Although the Owls are returning 6 all-conference players and 1 All-American, they did graduate 9 players, weakening their depth. It will now be up to Kate and her 10 freshman teammates to step up and help replenish that depth. Reporting for the Leah Corris Center, I'm Ricky Turner, OwlSports Update.
Thanks, Ricky. Volleyball with ECU in town at McGonigal Hall. The Owls in white, Yelena Prolich slams it down as she finishes the match with a team-high 24 kills. The Owls do a good job of using all 3 touches right here. On the other side, ECU plays some good defense that leads to offensive production. Carlia Northcross collects a team-high 4 blocks. Then Sophia Krusco on the right side with her 10 kills. ECU secures a 3-2 road victory.
In Pearson McGonigal Hall, the Owls are in Cherry this time around versus Cincinnati Friday night. The Bearcats get things going early and take set 1 25-22 and set 2 25-17. The Owls fought their way back in sets 3 and 4, winning both and taking the match to a 5th set. Cincinnati beat Temple in set 5 15-8, led by Bearcats' Peyton Frederick, who scored 3 consecutive points for her team solely off serves. Owls outside hitter Taylor Davenport led the team with 24 kills.
Women's volleyball is now on a 3-match losing streak. The Owls look to flip the page this Friday when they take on UCF down in Orlando.
And when we come back from the break, back to lacrosse. We will hear about some of the offensive veterans. See you in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update and back to our lacrosse coverage. We've touched on their fall schedule and their top recruit, but the Owls have plenty of firepower coming back as well as they try to bounce back from their stunning loss to Vandy in the AAC semis last spring. OwlSports Update's Paddy Heckard has the story.
Last season for the Owls.
Space opens up and it's tipped in. Dreamland for the Commodores.
Ended sooner than expected, but the Owls are determined to overcome last season's stunning defeat in the first round of the AAC tournament. And it starts with their veterans, mostly on offense. Number 12, Bellmaster Pietro, had 44 goals last season, the most of any returning Owl.
I think more than anything we want to have an open mind, just because obviously at the end of last year it wasn't the best result that we would have wanted. So I think going into this year, I just want to be able to play every game like it's our last and just make sure that we're kind of giving 100% all the time.
There is also number 2, Mackenzie Roth. She was not only the team leader, but second in the conference with 36 assists, not to mention chipping in 23 goals of her own. And number 24, Riley McGowan, who bounced back from missing the 2021 season with an ACL injury to score 31 goals off the bench in 2022.
The fall is all about getting the hard stuff out of the way and being able to work together and getting all our stick skills refined so that when we come out in February, we can come out swinging.
While the sudden exit from the conference tournament still stings, the players are going into this season with a new mindset, looking to bounce back from that shocker in the spring.
It's really just like pushing through the moments and conditioning and long practices, and you're like, I'm trying to get ready for the spring.
But first, Baltimore and Washington, D.C. I'm Paddy Heckard, OwlSports Update.
The women's soccer team was looking for its second win Thursday evening against fellow AAC rival UCF. Things started off slowly for both teams until the 42nd minute when UCF forward Mallory Olson found the back of the net to give the Knights a 1-0 lead going into the half. Temple had plenty of opportunities to score but were not able to capitalize. UCF's second goal of the game came in the 59th minute off a corner kick, and it was headed in by Mallory Olson, her second of the contest. Final score, 2-0 UCF.
Men's soccer took on another Florida team in FIU at the Temple Sports Complex. Fernando dos Santos Montero attempts a free throw kick but gets stuffed by the wall of Owls defenders twice. Then he capitalizes on a second opportunity, shooting from 18 yards away and nailing that top right corner. Number 7 takes another run down the field but gets illegally hit by Andberg. He gets right back up and scores his second goal of the day, putting the Panthers up 2-0. FIU ends up taking the road victory, shutting out Temple 3-0.
The men's basketball team finished with a 17-12 record last season, despite losing its star player in Caleb Battle to a season-ending foot injury. The Owls finished 4th in the American and look to make some noise with Battle returning. OwlSports Updates' Taylor Hess is live at the studio, set to give us more on the men's and women's AAC predictions for the season. Hey, Taylor.
Thanks, Brielle. Wednesday was the AAC Media Day for both the men's and women's basketball teams. Redshirt sophomore Damian Dunn was named first team All-AAC, while sophomore guard Caleb Battle, who you just mentioned, was named second team All-AAC. This is the second consecutive year that Battle was named to the second team. The preseason poll is also out. The men are picked to finish 5th. Houston is projected to finish 1st, with Memphis not far behind. The projection for Temple is 1 spot lower than they finished last season. The Owls went 10-7 last season in conference play. Head coach Aaron McKee is starting his 4th season with the Owls, and he finally believes that this is the team that can compete for the title.
It's very close. I think if you look at the pieces now, we got inside play, interior play, we got perimeter play, scoring. But the one thing I talk to all of these guys about, we got size, athleticism, physicality. But the one thing I talk to all of these guys about is the teams that win are the teams that defend. And I thought we took a step in that and doing so last year with all of the obstacles that we had to face last year. We still were able to fight and finish in the top half of the conference. And again, it's always been my goal is to be at the top of the conference. And so I think, with our experience and riding our defense, I think we can be right there in the conversation.
Women's basketball also had its media day. The Owls, with their new head coach Diane Richardson, are picked to finish 7th out of 11 teams in the preseason poll. South Florida and Houston are picked to finish 1 and 2. The Owls didn't have any players on their preseason all-conference team. Opening day is coming fast. Both teams open on November 7th. The women at Princeton and the men at home versus Wagner. That will do it from the studio set. I'm Taylor Hess. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Taylor. It'll be exciting to see Caleb Battle and company back at the Liacouras Center soon. But one team that seems like it's always in season is women's lacrosse. The Owls training program is a year-round commitment, and that includes the off-season. There is an in-season and out-of-season, but there really is no off-season for the Temple women's lacrosse team. Last season's nationally ranked squad is in the weight room and on the turf 12 months out of the year. The training program's goal is to build players' muscle tolerance so they don't get sore when their body is using a lot of energy during the grind that is their spring game schedule.
That we're in every single week, we're in 2-3 times a week. There's no new stimulus right on that. So if you're not getting that new stimulus, we feel pretty good.
Steenrod has been with Temple Athletics since last August. His program allows for defenders Taylor Monkman and Maddie Barber to continue lifting heavy even during the season, when they play about 2 games per week on top of daily practices. And technology plays a vital role in monitoring athletes' performance. Each team uses the app called Team Builder that not only tracks the workout regimen, but also the weights these athletes use. They are on every single bar over here in the athletic room. Mixing weights and cardio makes an immediate difference in performance. Even after the Owls' first fall game versus Penn State on September 30th, the difference was noticeable for Maddie Barber, who started in 15 games last season.
After a few sprints up and down the field, I was not as out of breath as I feel like I normally would have been.
And the Owls hope to carry this into spring when the games really count in season. Temple has lots of different training programs for many of its different sports. There are 19 varsity teams in all, with 15 strength and conditioning coaches on staff. Of those 15, 5 are dedicated to football.
But we are getting ready to take our final break of the day.
Stick around for our favorite segment of the show, where Brielle and I talk about how we see it. And we're talking about bowl eligibility back in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update.
It is finally time for us to introduce our favorite segment, How A, AJ,
and B, Brielle
See It, where we discuss things from our point of view. It should be no surprise at all that we are going to be talking about Temple football. So I'm going to get things started with the Temple defense. There's 3 players that I want to highlight in Jordan McGee, Alex Odom, and Leighton Jordan. All these guys have been having phenomenal seasons. I mean, Leighton Jordan has 14 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 1 interception, while McGee has 17 tackles, 3 sacks. So very impressive seasons from those guys, but I just don't think it's enough to lead them to that 6-win season, because if you don't know, for an FBS school to be bowl eligible, it's 6 games. So AJ, how do you see things?
Yeah, no, I agree with what you just said. The team's chances, I feel like, really revolve around EJ Warner and Jalen McMurray. Temple is last in the conference when it comes to offensive production, and EJ Warner's production in the last 2 weeks has declined. On the other side, Jalen McMurray is second in the conference when it comes to pass breakups, disrupting opposing offenses' flows. In addition to that, he is leading the cornerback group at Temple in tackles. And when it comes to run blocking, he's just there with the top of them as well. I ultimately think that Temple is going to need another year or two to develop that offense, bring in Stan Drayton's actual recruits, but that defense is at that level right now.
And now moving over to the Temple Sports Complex, field hockey hosting Providence on Friday afternoon, with the Owls winning their 2 previous games. Nora Goddard-Despeau put the Friars on the board first, but the Owls did not score until the 4th quarter thanks to a Tess Muller goal. The game went into 2 overtimes, but neither team capitalized, forcing a shootout. And Temple ends up winning it 3-1 thanks to Nico Orlemans and Augustine Tuchetti. Tuchetti sealed the win for the Owls. Your final score, 2-1.
Tuchetti.
It's calendar time. On Friday, we have everything from men's tennis to women's volleyball. Plenty of in-conference and out-of-conference matchups to go around. Saturday is all men's golf in the Wolfpack Intercollegiate. Sunday, it's also jam-packed. The lacrosse team has another doubleheader, and Rowe and crew are finally back on the Schuylkill. That is all we have for Temple Sports today. She's Brielle Berry. I'm AJ Patel.
And for the entire OwlSports Update crew, have a wonderful rest of your day.